Welcome back to Read This Next with Laura and Nicole from the Thunder Bay Public Library. Today we are discussing warm hug books.
Yes. So what we mean by that, we were talking about different topics, and what we came up with was just books that kind of make you feel good at the end.
Mm-hmm.
So they might be funny or they might not be, but basically just like you finish reading the book and you close it, and you're kind of like,
Oh, so nice.
yeah, that sort of feeling.
Yeah, because it's been a rough year and we need some lighthearted books to get us through it.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, so we'll go through with our usual highlights and then our recs at the end. You want to
Mm-hmm.
start us off?
Yes, ma'am. Our first book is called No One Can Pronounce My Name by Rakesh Satyal, and love the cover.
Yes, it's
Very
very
bright and fun.
the colors are fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Okay. In a suburb outside Cleveland, a community of Indian Americans have settled into lives that straddle the divide between Eastern and Western cultures. For some, America is a bewildering and alienating place where coworkers can't pronounce your name right but will eagerly repeat the Sanskrit phrases from their yoga classes. Harit, a lonely Indian immigrant in his mid 40s, lives with his mother, who can no longer function after the death of Harit's sister, Swati. In a misguided attempt to keep both himself and his mother sane, Harit has taken to dressing up in a sari every night to pass himself off as his sister. That's so sweet, but also, kind of strange.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, Rajana, also a Indian immigrant in her mid-40s, has just seen her only child, Prashant, off to college. Worried that her husband has begun an affair, she seeks solace in writing paranormal romances in secret. When Harit and Rajana's paths cross, they begin a strange yet necessary friendship that brings to light their own passions and fears.
That sounds so unusual.
It does.
It does.
I like it.
Yes, very unusual, but a lot of still some big points that are very familiar to all, right? Like worrying about your
Mhm.
parents and major changes in your family and how it affects people.
Yeah,
How
both
far
very
will
different.
you, yes, how far will you go for your family? Like, will you dress up like your dead sibling?
Very sweet, like we said, but also like,
Mm,
hmm,
mm,
hmm.
you know, like small aside, one of the the author Peter Pan, his brother died when he was very young, and he used to dress up like his brother because he thought his mother loved him best. Anyway, that's one of the origins of Peter Pan, because his brother was a lost boy who died as a young man.
Oh, wow.
You may or may
Okay.
not want to cut that out.
I'll leave it in. That was an interesting tidbit. Do you want to head into the next one?
Sure. Sure. I'll definitely do that. Okay, next one. This is a book that is fairly well known, or you might have heard of other books by this author. It's called A Man Called Ove by Friedrich Bachmann. And yeah, this a nice picture of a man and a cat. I'm already into it.
Mm-hmm.
A grumpy yet lovable man finds the solitary world turned on its head when a boisterous young family moves in next door. Meet Ove. He's a curmudgeon, the kind of man who points at people he dislikes as if they were burglars caught outside his bedroom window. So specific. He has staunch principles, strict routines, and a short fuse. People call him the bitter neighbor from hell. But must Ove be bitter just because he doesn't walk around with a smile plastered to his face all the time? Behind the cranky exterior, there is a story and a sadness. So on one November morning, a chatty young couple with two chatty young daughters move in next door and accidentally flatten Ove's mailbox. It is the lead into a comical and heartwarming tale of unkept cats, unexpected friendship, and the ancient art of backing up a U-Haul, all of which will change one cranky old man and a local residents association to their very foundations.
That just sounds so sweet.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, like you're gonna walk away with that being like, my heart.
Yeah, people will learn and grow.
It's like Up. They appear curmudgeonly, but it's just because they
Yes,
haven't met the right people.
that's right.
Yeah.
Sometimes People are cranks for a reason. Sometimes they're not, but sometimes they are.
It can be.
Sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Our next one, the Authenticity Project by Claire Pooley. Cool cover again.
I agree.
Multiple books. Love it. The story of a solitary green notebook that brings together six strangers and leads to unexpected friendship and even love. Julian Jessup, an eccentric, lonely artist and septuagenarian.
I like it. Yes.
Don't know what that means. Feel like it's
Oh,
something to do with
70
seven.
year old. It's if
Oh,
you're 70 in your 70s.
there you go. Wow, that's a pretty good guess on my behalf.
You sir,
I'll
that was
take it.
very good. Yeah.
So he believes that most people aren't really honest with each other, but what if they were? And so he writes in a plain green journal the truth about his own life and leaves it in his local cafe. It's run by the incredibly tidy and efficient Monica, who fervently adds her own entry and leaves the book in a wine bar across the street. Before long, the others who find the green note, uh, yeah, before long, the others who find the green notebook and add the truths about their own deepest selves and soon find each other in real life at Monica's cafe. The Authenticity Project is by turns quirky and fun, heartbreakingly sad, and painfully true to life. It's a story about being brave and putting your real self forward and finding out that it's not as scary as it seems. In fact, it looks a lot like happiness. Like that too. Just
Hmm.
sounds like, people bearing their souls and then finding other people who, kindred spirits.
Yes. I like it's fun, the idea of a co-written document making its way around a little community.
Mm-hmm. Like a little
Yeah.
library, except for it's a little notebook.
A little notebook. Okay. Our next one, I think this must be YA, this one, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Okay.
next
It's
two
called,
are.
okay. This one's called Foolish Hearts by Emma Mills. When Claudia accidentally eavesdrops on the epic breakup of Paige and Iris, the it couple at her school, she finds herself in hot water with prickly, difficult Iris. Thrown together against their will in a class production of A Midsummer Night's Dream, along with the goofiest, cutest boy Claudia has ever known, Iris and Claudia are in for an eye-opening senior year. Smart, funny, and thoroughly wonderfully flawed, Claudia navigates a world of intense friendships and tentative romance in Foolish Hearts, a YA novel about expanding your horizons, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, and accepting and loving people for who they really are.
Again, a good one.
Yeah, I don't know if you were involved in, well, basically just about anything in high school, but I was a big music nerd. I was in band and I was involved in productions, musical productions and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
I think that is such an interesting thing to write about because those sorts of experiences are so intense that you can develop these really intense friendships and relationships,
Mm-hmm.
which don't necessarily last after after the show's run or whatever. But I
Mm-hmm.
think it's an interesting little like pressure cooker. You can't get away from the person, even if you're annoyed with them, because you have to work with them on this big project. It's
Yeah.
important.
I read something one time that talked about how it takes a certain amount of like hours to make a friend. So things like school and work, you're kind of guaranteed to make a friend because it's something like 40, I'm just throwing out numbers, 40 hours for an acquaintance or a friend, 70 hours for this and like 400 hours for
Yeah.
something else. Like it's really interesting how time and being forced together literally makes friends.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like I bet like however many hours of sitting next to each other in class, but you can have that accelerate that same relationship by spending however many hours, in my experience, sitting next to them in the orchestra pit in the dark while you're
Just
doing a
patiently
performance.
waiting.
The amount of very silly in jokes that we had that like immediately collapsed after the production was over. We're like,
Yeah.
why was that so funny? I don't know. But at the
Because it
time,
was.
hilarious. Yes.
Yeah, this one sounds like it's a lot of times high school ones can be very dramatic. This one sounds like it is, but also like kind in its
Yeah.
mhm.
Getting to know people, finding their
Mhm.
strengths. Sounds like a nice story.
Yeah. And as for
Mhm.
our other YA one, we have this is a pretty new one. I think it came out within the last 2 or 3 years. It's called I Want to Be Where You Are by Christina Forrest. Um, when Chloe Pierce's mom forbids her to apply for a spot at the dance conservatory of her dreams, she devises a secret plan to drive 200 miles to the nearest audition. But Chloe hits her first speed bump when her annoying neighbor Eli insists upon hitching a ride, threatening to tell Chloe's mom if she leaves him and his smelly dog Geezer behind. Okay. So now Chloe's chasing her ballet dreams down the East Coast. Two unwanted but kind of cute passengers in her car, butterflies in her stomach, and a really dope playlist on repeat, filled with roadside hijinks, heart stirring romance, and a few broken rules. I Want to Be Where You Are is a YA debut perfect for fans of Jenny Han and Sandhya Menon. Jenny Han wrote the
To
To
all the
All the Boys I've
boys.
Loved Before. Yeah.
Wow. See, and there's another like accelerated getting to know you thing. Road trips.
Yeah, like how does
Mhm.
he I'm curious how they know each other and like if they knew each other beforehand cuz like can you imagine your random neighbor just being like, "Hey, I'm going to
By
take
the
you
way,
off."
yeah, I mean, maybe, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And the stinky dog. I'm like,
Yeah, why is
does
he
the dog
bringing
need a
his
bath?
dog?
Why is he being a stinky dog? Why is the dog stinky? I don't know, but
Yeah,
cute.
cute dog, but he's stinky.
Yeah, that happens. Old dogs.
Why is he bringing his dog?
I don't. Maybe
Oh,
because he lives alone. I don't know. I don't
maybe.
know.
I don't
Yeah.
know. This next one though, Laura, I'm so excited for you to read the description. It looks good.
Yes. I just saw like the headline on the top and I was like, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Check, check,
Okay.
check.
This book is called The Flat Share. Yes, by Beth O'Leary. Tiffy and Leon share a flat. Tiffy and Leon share a bed. Tiffy and Leon have never met.
Huh?
Tiffy Moore, yeah. Tiffy Moore needs a cheap flat and fast. Leon Toomey works nights and needs cash. Their friends think they're crazy, but it's the perfect solution. Leon occupies the one bed flat while Tiffy's at work during the day, but with obsessive ex boyfriends, demanding clients at work, wrongly imprisoned brothers, and of course, the fact that they still haven't met yet, they're about to discover that if you want the perfect home, you need to throw the rule book out the window.
What does that mean?
What does that mean? My goodness.
Okay.
My goodness. I
It's
think that sounds very fun.
juicy.
It's got a little, not a blur, but a little line on the book cover that says the for fans of Jojo Mays. Is that the name,
Moist.
last name? Moise. Noise. I was giving her an M instead of an N.
No, it is an
Um,
M. Yeah, it's Moyes. Moyes.
I have not read her books.
Me neither.
And apparently, if I'm not looking directly at her name, it disappears from my brain. Um, but yeah, and I know very, very popular her books. So that one might be, if those her books work for you, this one might work for you as well. Or if you just like
Mhm.
cute books.
Yeah, if you like tropey fan fiction kind of books, take a peek.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, our next one is The Keeper of Lost Things by Ruth Hogan. Okay, sorry. I was looking at it thinking they were describing the cover, but they're not. Okay. Lime green plastic flower shaped hair baubles found on the playing field, Dairywood Park, 2nd September. Bone china cup and saucer found on a bench in Riviera Public Gardens, 31st October. Anthony Perdue is the keeper of lost things. 40 years ago, he carelessly lost a keepsake from his beloved fiancée, Therese. That very same day, she died unexpectedly. Broken-hearted, Anthony sought consolation in rescuing lost objects, the things others have dropped, misplaced, or accidentally left behind, and writing stories about them. Now, in the twilight of his life, Anthony worries he's not fully discharged his duty to reconcile all the lost things with their owners. As the end nears, he bequeaths his secret life's mission to his unsuspecting assistant, Laura, leaving her his house and all its lost treasures, including an irritable ghost.
What?
I know, it just Sharp turn.
See that
um,
coming.
no, me neither. Recovering from a bad divorce, Laura, in some ways, is one of Anthony's lost things. But when the lonely woman moves into his mansion, her life begins to change. She finds a new friend in the neighbor's quirky daughter, Sunshine, and a welcome distraction in Freddie, the rugged gardener. As the dark cloud engulfing her lifts, Laura, accompanied by her new companion, sets out to realize Anthony's last wish, reuniting his cherished lost objects with their owners. Okay, and then the last I'm not gonna read anymore, but the last two paragraphs are long ago Eunice found a trinket on the London pavement and kept it through the years. Now with her own end drawing near, she has lost something precious, a tragic twist of fate that forces her to break a promise she once made. So there's a lot going on, a lot of characters. I don't
Yes.
know why he waited until the end of his life to start
Start.
returning items to people.
Yeah. Seems like you could have got on that right away.
Yeah, he probably should have gotten started sooner, considering
Mm,
he's kept 40 years worth of people's lost items.
that's a lot of, that's almost like a hoarder.
That's, yeah. And,
After
oh,
40 years, and
yeah.
you're not even trying to, anyway.
I mean, it says he has a mansion, so presumably he's rich and, like, could build bookshelves for them.
But like, just because you have the space doesn't mean you have to fill it.
That's true. That's true. That's a lesson I need to learn.
That is a lesson I obviously know, as you can tell by looking behind me.
Oh, yeah. See
The
that empty space up
stuffed
there?
shelves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You appreciate it.
Yeah.
Anyways, that sounds really good and very sweet.
Okay. All right. So our last highlight is by Terry McMillan. And this is an author who's been writing books since I think the 90s. So this is one of their more recent titles. It's called I Almost Forgot About You. Here we go. In I Almost Forgot About You, Dr. Georgia Young's wonderful life, great friends, family, and successful career aren't enough to keep her from feeling stuck and restless. When she decides to make some major changes in her life, including quitting her job as an optometrist and moving house, she finds herself on a wild journey that may or may not include a second chance at love. George's bravery reminds us that it's never too late to become the person you want to be, and that taking chances with your life and your heart are always worthwhile. Big-hearted, genuine, and universal, shows what can happen when you face your fears, take a chance, and open yourself up to life, love, and the the possibility of a new direction.
Aw, that one sounds nice too.
Yeah, heartwarming, you know?
Hmm. She has it all, but she decides she wants something new.
See what's out there, you
Hmm.
know? Yeah.
It's perfect. These all just sound so nice.
They
Alex and
do.
I recently discovered that that's my favorite genre of anything. Like when we're watching a movie or a TV show, if it has like heartwarming or uplifting in the title, that's my genre. So these are all up my alley. It's great.
Good to know. Good to
Yeah.
know.
And that concludes our highlights. So let's move into our
Yes.
recs. Yeah, so my rec is one that a lot of people have read, but it did come out in 2013. So for those who are just entering this genre or whatever, this might still be a new fun book to read. So I'm recommending Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, and the cover art is done by the wonderful, oh, what's her name? I literally talked about her 2 weeks ago.
Noelle Stevenson?
Yes, thank you. Oh my goodness, how embarrassing. Okay. Yeah, the cover art is done by Naomi Stevenson.
Noelle.
Noelle. Oh my god, I had a whole topic about how great they are and like amazing, and then I just anyways. Okay. Here's the description: a coming of age tale of fanfiction, family, and first love. Kath is a Simon Snow fan. Okay, the whole world is a Simon Snow fan, but for Kath, being a fan is her life, and she's really good at it. She and her twin Ren ensconced themselves in the Simon Snow series when they were just kids, and it's gotten them through their mother leaving. It's what got them through their mother's leaving. Reading, rereading, hanging out in Simon Snow forums, rewriting Simon Snow fanfiction, dressing up like the characters for every movie premiere. Kath's sister has mostly grown away from the fandom, but Kath can't let it go. She doesn't want to. So, now that they're going to college, Ren has told Kath she doesn't want to be roommates. Ooh. Kath is on her own, completely outside of her comfort zone. She's got a surly roommate with a charming, always around boyfriend, a fiction writing professor who thinks fan fiction is the end of the civilized world, a handsome classmate who only wants to talk about words, and she can't stop worrying about her dad, who's loving and fragile and has never been alone. Never really been alone. For Kath, the question is, can she do this? Can she make it without Ren holding her hand? Is she ready to start living her own life? And does she even want to move on if it means leaving Simon Snow behind? So, this is also considered a new adult novel, which is cool, but it's a very I read this right when I was entering university, so it was at the perfect time of my life to be reading it. And it's
Yeah.
just very relatable in a lot of ways. It's got very relatable, like, first time relationship issues. And my favorite part was she gets very, like, angry and, like, agitated at one point, or maybe sad. It's a big emotion, and she just, like, turns on Kanye West and, like, starts dancing around her bedroom, like, very aggressively. And I was like, yeah, that sounds right. So it's very good and it's very sweet. And Rainbow Rowell also ended up writing, I know you know this, the Carry On. um it's got a longer title than that, but I can't see it from here. It's called Carry On, and then the second one is Wayward Son, and they're actually Kath's fan fiction, but it's not based on anything, so it's just a new book. So it's pretty cool. So love that. Check it out. Did you read that one?
I'll, yes, I did. I did enjoy it very much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I
Very
think
sweet.
probably Rainbow Rowell, you couldn't really go wrong with any of her books
Oh
if you're
yeah,
looking for heartwarming. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Mine. The first thing I thought of actually was was the book, oh, Beside the Cerulean Sea, which
Mm-hmm.
I've wrecked before and like double mentioned before. So I was like, I can't do that one again. But so what I did is I kind of did a little bit of a personal deep cut. Books that this author I've been reading since I was a child, because I first started reading her because my grandmother had her books. And you know, when you're at grandma's house and you're bored because like you're sort of like suck up sisters, like, I'll help do the dishes. And you're like, I'm not going to help do the dishes. Guess I'm going to go read a book by myself in the living room and not be the perfect granddaughter. That was maybe that's really specific experience, but that's how it worked for me. And so I started reading Maeve Binchy books. So Maeve Binchy, she's an Irish author and she's written tons of books. And I think I've mentioned her probably as well before as one of those authors that writes books that they're not necessarily strict sequels to each other, but they're all set, or they're mostly all set in the same community. So
Mm,
characters kind of pass in and out of each other's lives in
I love
interesting
that.
ways. Yeah. Um, I think I gave the example before that like there's one book about people trying to run a restaurant, and then like 3 books later, it's like, oh, if you're going for a fancy dinner in town, you know, you go to Quentin's because it's the fancy restaurant, and you're like, oh, the restaurant's doing so well.
Yay! I like that.
Yes. Anyway, so the one I picked of hers to rec specifically, even though I'd say like any of them will do what you need, I picked Scarlet Feather. um, it's just really delightful and charming. It's about two youngish people, Kathy Scarlet and Tom Feather, and they are just friends. They're both have relationships with other people, but they decided when they attended college together, they became close friends and decided they wanted to open their own catering firm. So they kind of impetuously decide to start renting this perfect location that became available at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve. They jump straight into renovations, ignoring the owner's mysterious eagerness to sell. But as they soon learn, chasing a dream demands far more than just cream puffs and canapes. Canapes? I think that's how you say that.
I
In
don't
the
know.
months that follow, Tom and Kathy weather the ups and downs of founding a small business, soothe many a client's fragile ego, plan and pull off a fairy tale wedding, minister to two of the most appealingly waifish children this side of Dickens, and generally work themselves to the bone, all the while producing some of the most exquisite food Dublin has ever seen.
Oh,
Yeah,
that sounds very
it's
nice.
it really is. And just tends to like it pulls in all these different characters and people at different points in their lives, like they're just starting out, and then like she'll have other books about people who are well established and something's going on in their life that's different.
Yeah, you get to
Just
like join her community kind of.
yeah, quirky people, people who, have faults, but perhaps you can get over that and perhaps you can't, depending, the waifish children are adorable. They belong to I think they're nephews of Kathy's kind of like cold husband. And of course, since nobody else will bother doing anything with them, she ends up looking after these children. Um, just nice sort of kitchen sink stories. Everything's coming in together. They're all delightful. Highly recommend Maeve Binchy.
And
Um,
start with, is there one that like kind of, should they start with like the first one she wrote or pick it up anywhere?
Not really. I think you could pick it up anywhere. Like if you really wanted to be a completist, you could start with her earlier books, but I really feel like you can pick it up and delve in and out of the lives, dip in and out wherever you are. Um, yeah, just really very heartwarming, very kind of like life affirming. Things are going to work out.
That's
Great,
good.
great reads. Yeah,
A warm hug.
they are. They're warm hug bugs.
I love it. And that's the rest of it. If you have your own warm hug books that you want to let us know about, email us at readthisnext@tbpl.ca. Comment on any of our social medias at tbpl or on our YouTube. Like, we read our comments.
We do, we
And
do.
yeah, follow us on all those places. Like, comment, subscribe, rate us on our podcast platforms. And yeah, we will see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye.